I think first of all it is important to point out that their hearts are not in Jubilee, and it's only that their names appears on the papers of Jubilee, but their hearts are clearly not in Jubilee. However, if we went back to the history of the Jubilee Party and the latter elections that we have had, for example, in Kibra, we could see people like nominated Member of Parliament, Maina Kamanda, campaigning for Imran, who belongs to ODM, even when the Jubilee Party did not have a coalition agreement with ODM to work on elections. We never saw the same kind of wrath being applied to them. We also saw some times back, even people who are within the Jubilee Party openly disagreeing with the deputy party leader of Jubilee. That was not taken as an offense. Right. I think this is just usual politics that is being at play in this case, because you already saw a guy like Murathe who said that for the days to come, that these people are going to be divorced from the marriage of UDA and the Jubilee Party. And I think a combination of malice, a combination of ego, and a combination of what they would call political gimmicks and drama, high drama, are at play in this case. Because what offenses would warrant somebody being expelled from the party in this case, just because they were agreeing with a political party that is in a coalition agreement with the Jubilee Party, not even campaigning for somebody who is on another party like it happened in Nairobi. So in this case, this is just raw power politics, and I don't think that for the ruling Jubilee Party, this is a good history that will go down as the biggest democratic institution, having, for example, decided to withdraw on certain strategic competitions in the elections of this country to allow a party that was in opposition to run. Yeah. So this is a total expression of lack of what we are talking about, internal democracy, allowing members to vent their concerns, and what we would say, parties not being repressive, but allowing free, or rather the flow of information, or not information, but rights of members as political players within a political party to express themselves and also exercise democratic practice, values, and what they believe in. Yeah, and if you grab it takes us back to that point of having democracy within a party. And if we look at the Daily Nation on page 16, there's a cartoon there that is quite telling when it comes to that matter. But back to the Jubilee issue, what does the Jubilee Party stand to lose by having them stay on? Because of course this is going to be uncomfortable for them themselves, staying in a party they don't want to be in just for their jobs. But for the Jubilee Party, what would this cost them? The Jubilee Party loses what is called legitimacy in the eye of the supporters of those senators and the majority who feel that the Jubilee Party has been overstretching its disciplinary actions to those that they think are going against the party stand. Yes. The question is, which party stand when the party has not held any party parliamentary group meeting, or the party has no internal mechanisms that are supposed to be working and giving members a direction on what they are supposed to do. This is the party position. You see, our parties lack what I would call an organizational depth within themselves, whereby you have your own structures that define the roles of each and every item within the political party, whereby parties will be able to heed to that, correct, and even calling them, communicating with them from time to time, reminding them on what is the party position on particular emerging issues. Right. For example, on elections, for example, on the BBI, for example, on the rest of the issues that emerge within the country. But in the contrast of this case, the Jubilee Party has not done that to its members.
Yes.
And that is why these dissenting voices have already moved their heart out of Jubilee. And I think they are just waiting for a time whereby it is not possible to hold a by-election, perhaps in March next year. That is when you will see their full venom, and they will talk and talk and talk and talk, regardless of whether there's going to be disciplinary actions or not. So these are lessons that we can learn as a democratic ecosystem, that in future, when we talk about party discourse, let us talk about political parties that are strengthened, that allows each and every member at least to have their opinions, even if when going to a vote or when going to the public discourse, they already have a party position. This is just an example of the disorganization and the crumbling of the Jubilee Party. And if they are not going to salvage it at this point, which could mean salvaging by gaining and making the party gain public legitimacy in the eyes of the majority, because already the party has been tainted negatively by those that have been removed out of particular positions in parliament and everything else. So there needs to be a reconstruction of the Jubilee Party whereby the likes of the Vice Chair Murathe and Tuju will allow those that have what I would call the public muscle, or rather the public support and goodwill, to be able to propel and advance the discourse of the party. That way, the people will accept the party back. And because the party has had a stronghold in Mount Kenya region.
In the grassroots.
And in the grassroots, I think that picture has already been tainted by the representatives of the people, majority of them having been expelled from certain committees because of expressing themselves. So to gain that legitimacy back, you need to involve those very members of parliament who interact on a daily basis with Wanjiku, as well as what we have seen as very dire times for the party when, for example, they need to meet. They only meet when they are expelling people, when they are punishing people. So this is an image that has gone into the public eye as a party on a mission to distract and to spoil what could be a future for the party they voted in 2013 and 2017. Okay,
and we shall be keeping an eye on that to see how it all unfolds. And so much time, so little, so many stories, so little time to cover them. But one of the biggest stories that have happened this week, of course, had to be the state visit of President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Suluhu stirs house with message of a fresh start. That's what we're being told on the front page of the Standard. The Daily Nation is telling us about the same, but of course on Uhuru to do business, Suluhu brings solutions to trade barriers. In here we have so many stories on that. Of course, we also have an article, opinion piece by Kesa Wandera, asking whether this is the start to a lasting marriage. Take a look at the dailies to learn more, but of course we have you as far as the discussions are concerned, and to get us into it, this will be tackled by Jesse Rogers in our next segment. But let's take a look at this story. Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan concluded a two-day state visit to Kenya with a call to members of parliament to enact legislations that will open up the two countries to closer ties she and President Uhuru Kenyatta are forging. While addressing the members of parliament during a special sitting, President Suluhu reaffirmed her commitment to ensure that there is a regular communication between government officials from both countries in a bid to ease any restrictions that hinder the free flow of goods and people at the border points. And as our senior political reporter, Chris Tairu, says, Samia Suluhu invited Kenyans to invest in Tanzania without any fear.
Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan's two-day state visit in the country culminated in an official address in a joint sitting of parliament, making history as the first woman president to address MPs. It was the second to be accorded to a head of state after that of fourth president of Tanzania, Jakaya Kikwete, having reached an agreement on several proposals to strengthen the diplomatic ties between Kenya and Tanzania.
Ni namna ambavyo nchi zetu mbili zinakubaliana katika mambo mengi kuliko yale machache sana tunayotofautiana. Hata hayo machache tunayotofautiana yenyewe hayakuwa na misingi imara ya tofauti, ila ni mitazamo tu ya watu. Hata wanyamapori wetu ni ndugu na ni majirani. Kuna wale wanyamapori wanani wale? Wanakuja kupata mimba Kenya, wanazalia Tanzania.
In a charismatic 45-minute speech that often left members of parliament lauding her, President Suluhu insisted the need to ease trade restrictions, especially at the border points.
Ninyi ndio wawakilishi wa wananchi na ndio sauti yao wananchi wa Kenya. Ninyi ndio wenye dhamana ya kutunga sheria na kushauri serikali juu ya mwelekeo wa sera na kuongoza wananchi wenu waliowachagua. Dhima yenu katika kukuza ushirikiano baina nchi zetu mbili ni kubwa sana. Mna uwezo mkubwa wa kuamua kasi ya ushirikiano wetu iwe ya haraka ama ya kusuasua kwa aina ya sheria mtakazozitunga na sera mtakazozipitisha.
On COVID-19 restrictions, President Suluhu made her pledge.
Leo corona imebadilisha mfumo wa maisha, wanadamu ndio tunajifunga. Huyu ni adui kwetu. Tunatambua kwamba kila nchi ikiwemo Tanzania imejiwekea utaratibu wa kupambana na janga hili kulingana na mazingira yake mahsusi na hali ya kusambaa kwa ugonjwa huo katika nchi hizo.
The president insisted that her visit and reception will not go unnoticed and that they are ready to return the favor.
Uamuzi wenu wa kunipa fursa hii ni kielelezo cha thamani na uzito ambao mnaupa uhusiano mzuri uliopo kati ya nchi zetu mbili. Niwahakikishieni kuwa nasi tumeguswa sana na heshima, upendo na ukarimu mkubwa ambao mmetuonesha. Wema huacha deni na deni lake ni kulipwa kwa wema. Na sisi Tanzania tutalipa wema huu. Nimebaini kuwa sehemu kubwa ya ujumbe nilioambatana nao wanajua vichochoro vya Nairobi. Wanajua nyama choma inapatikana wapi. Lakini kutokana na corona hawakuweza kujibamba. Na hivi nina wasiwasi nisije nikawabakisha nyuma. Kwa hiyo tunawashukuru kwa yote ndugu zetu kwa mapokezi na ukarimu mkubwa.
Members of parliament praised her speech, stating that it was the best step in efforts to resolve any diplomatic tussle between the two neighbors.
Lifting barriers between among the East African community members is a step towards strengthening the East African community. And this is the right time. She has made the right step. It is historical.
By making Kenya one of her first stops as president is not to be underrated. It means that she's ready to now start unblocking some of the blockades that have been put by previous administrations.
What I'm seeing in Suluhu is a rekindling of the old East Africa bloc in terms of sharing relationship, business interactions, and trying to improve the relationship that has been there. And the way she has addressed the Uhuru Kenyatta as Kakawangu, that is a very impressive thing.
I felt very happy as a woman because some of these things you never imagined that they can come, but it has come in our time and we've seen it. We want to ask now, even in our government here, that as we've started supporting women, right now we are going to have a women's chief justice, that we should have a woman, even in the apex of the next government.
Abrupt rains however messed up an opportunity by the female legislators to take a photo with the first female president in East Africa, President Samia, as they were forced back into the chambers before the president left in the escort of the two speakers of the bicameral parliament. And after that speech by Tanzanian President Suluhu Hassan, members of the bicameral parliament will have an opportunity to deliberate and debate on her speech, probably next week, given that tomorrow the Senate is expected to vote on the BBI Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, while their colleagues in the National Assembly are expected to continue with the debate. Chris Dairo, KTN News at Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
Spot on, Chris Thyro, definitely giving us an update of the Tanzania's president two-day official visit that culminated in her address to the bicameral parliament just yesterday, where she called to members to actually enact legislation that will enable the country's relationship to